What is up, everybody? Welcome, brand new episode of Hawks Hoops. Thanks for tuning in this week. As you know, Hawks Hoops every Wednesday, 8 o'clock on the YouTube channel, Hawks Hoops Live. You can call in, hang out with us, join the conversation, drop your hot takes, talk about what we're talking about. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to cover. It's been a busy week in the NBA, like a really busy week. A lot has happened, and it's been a good time. Let's go in and hop in it first. Let's talk about the Warriors. So I made a TikTok talking about the Warriors, saying that yes, they're playing great. Let's get that out first. I don't want to be misconstrued. I don't want nobody to not understand what I'm trying to say here. The Warriors are playing great basketball. They're playing beautiful basketball. To be specific, the Warriors are playing Warriors basketball. I watched the last game I saw against them. The last game I saw them play was their win against the Hawks, where Steph dropped 50 on Monday night. And I remember tweeting out a clip during the game. It was a turnover, but the turnover was just so beautiful. Like, I don't even know if that makes sense. All 5 players touched the ball. There was ball movement. There was player movement. There was some dribble handoffs. There was pick and rolls. There was off-ball screens. They just was beautiful Warriors basketball. So pretty in the fact that I was like, this is basically made bucket in my book. Like, I was okay with only the Warriors can make a beautiful turnover. Only the Warriors can make a beautiful turnover. And so the Warriors, like I said, they're playing well. They're currently 9-1 after their win against the Hawks. They're on, I want to say they're on a little streak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A 5-game winning streak. The last loss they took was against the Grizzlies on October 28th. And they're playing really, really well. They really are. I just want to see them play against better comp. And I made a TikTok about that, saying maybe the Warriors aren't as good as you think they are. And basically saying, I want to see them against better people. I wanted them to see them against the Bucks of the world, full strength. The Nets, maybe when James Harden figures out how to play basketball. Teams like the Jazz, the Suns, who else was at the top of the East? I mean, the West this past season. Those caliber teams, though, is what I'm saying. The good teams. They beat bad teams, and there's nothing wrong with beating bad teams. I think a lot of people, when I said they've only played majority of bad teams, they took that as they're not good, or I'm hating. I'm not hating on the Warriors. I don't think the Warriors are trash. I think the Warriors are one of the best teams in the league. But I want to see them against good competition. I want to see them against their competition. Because if they have championship aspirations, and if all their fans saying they have championship aspirations, if everyone on TikTok, NBA Twitter is saying they have championship aspirations, I want to see them beat the teams who also have championship aspirations. I feel like that's not too much to ask. I just want them to see them against the good teams. Let me see the Warriors against the healthy Sixers. Let me see the Warriors against the Heat. Let me see the Warriors against the Bulls, the Jazz, the Suns, the Lakers if they decided to play how they supposed to play. But that's all I want to get out of there. I'm loving what I'm seeing out of the Warriors. Steph, for the most part, is having an okay season. He was struggling a little bit at the beginning of the season. He definitely was struggling a little bit. His first couple of games, he wasn't looking like himself, but they pulled it together. And I think a lot of that has to go down to the Warriors system. And that's the point of emphasis I really want to make here. The Warriors system is just really, really hard to beat. And he wasn't playing well his first couple of games. 21 points in his first game, 23% from the field, 31% from the field, 37% from the field, 40%, 31%. Yeah, he was not shooting. He has not been shooting well outside of maybe these last 2 games. And his second game in the season. So he's been on and off. We'll give him that. But they're still winning because the Warriors system, the system that Steve Kerr has put in place for them, is a really, really good offensive system. And they're playing great defense as well. And part of it is because they have Draymond Green back playing like he wants to be Defensive Player of the Year, Draymond again. But they just got guys who, Gary Payton is playing amazing defense. I kind of even like what I see out of Poole a little bit defensively. Offensively, we know he's playing great, and I cannot wait to see him. I don't know how they're going to use him once Clay comes back. Then they're going to have to. I've heard people saying Poole coming off the bench, slide into a 6-man role. I've heard people saying run Poole at the 3. He's an undersized 3 though. If they play him at the 3, he's definitely a little undersized. But I think they can do it. These Warriors, they're looking good. Steph might get MVP again this year. Like if the season ended right now, Steph's MVP. I would, as some other players who I would like to see get MVP over him, but if you're gonna keep it a B, if the season ended right now, Steph's MVP, and that's a no-brainer almost. I feel like. So the Warriors are doing really good. But let's take a look at their schedule because, like I said, I want to see them play against good teams. That's all I want. I want to keep. I'm gonna keep beating this in people's head because I don't want this to get misconstrued. So they play the Bulls Friday night. They play the Timberwolves today. That's an easy dub. We're not even worrying about that one. But they play the Nets on Tuesday, next Tuesday. They got like the Cavs, they got the Pistons, they got the Hornets, they got the Raptors. The Raptors have been playing better, especially defensively. Hold on, y'all. So, good connection, not great. Okay, well, let's just hope the stream don't mess up that much. Where were we at? The Raptors. The Raptors are playing really good right now, especially defensively. I'm liking what I'm seeing out of the Raptors defensively. They're currently 8th in the East, 6-5. Nothing like crazy that jumps out. But Scotty Barnes is playing really good. They just got Pascal back, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And that could be a really good game. Moving on from the Warriors, I think we talked about them enough. I just want to get it clear. I like the Warriors. I think they're good. I just want to see them against the best competition. That's all I'm saying. Don't get that twisted. Let's talk about the Bulls. More importantly, let me talk about my favorite duo in the league right now. They are playing absolutely amazing, absolutely wonderful, and a lot of it has to do with Demar Derozan and Zach Levine. Demar Derozan and Zach Levine are currently, I want to say, number 5 and number 6 in scoring in the league right now. One's like 26.9, one's 26.2. I think the edge slightly goes to DeMar. And they're playing very well. DeMar DeRozan is turning out to be the best offseason acquisition so far. Like, I mean, he's making headlines again. I feel like people forgot how good he was. I think people really forgot how good he was. I think people forgot that he was carrying, I won't say carrying. They had a good team. Lowry was still there. Ibaka was still good. Like those Raptors years were good years. Great years even. He made some all NBA teams. He was an guaranteed all-star pretty much every year. But I think people forgot. No one really cared about his time with the Spurs. They weren't a good team. They weren't really making playoff noise. The Spurs are already just a low-key team anyway when they are great. Like, even when they were great, the Tim Duncan era, they were just a quiet organization. That's just how they operate. So if they're not playing good, of course they're going to be even quieter. So I think a lot of people forgot about him. But let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. They're good. He's good. And he's so good that he doesn't have to shoot threes. That's the craziest thing about Demar Derozan to me. He is one of those guys who we almost call like the modern day MJ is what me and my boys joke about Demar Derozan, because he doesn't shoot threes. Like, he legit averages, I want to say, less than 1 3 per game this season. Like, he does not attempt threes, let alone make them. It's not his game. They try to have him shoot some threes in his Spurs years. Oh, okay. He's actually attempting Oof, I'm sorry. He's not making a three per game this season, but he's averaging 2 threes a game. He's making .9s, currently shooting 39% from three. So if DeMar shoots 2 threes a game, makes one, I guess that's a win in my book. If I'm the Bulls, I'm not mad at that. That's a win. The seasons I'm thinking of are his previous seasons. He's had seasons before in his career where he's averaged less than 1 3 per game, like in attempts. But he's playing very well this year. His career, to me, feels revitalized. Now, like I said, he wasn't playing bad in the San Antonio days. He's continued to average 20 points a game over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seasons? 8 seasons. I lost track. But he's been averaging 10 points a game 20 points a game over the last 5+ seasons. He's a 4-time All-Star. All of Toronto years, of course. And I think this is time he gets back to the All-Star. If he continues at this level, you're looking All-Star, you're looking potential All-NBA consideration, especially if the Bulls are this good. Now, granted, he might not make it. There are some guards there are some wings playing a little bit better than him. But he's playing very, very well right now. The Bulls, to me, the Bulls can be in title contention if if Nikola Vucevic steps it up just a little bit offensively. If he can clean up his game a bit, if he can be, to me, a little better. And he's not playing bad. He's not playing bad right now. I'm liking what I'm seeing out of him at times and spurts. That he's surprisingly good defensively, especially at the pick and roll. But if he can clean it up on the offensive side of the ball, if he can score a little bit more, if he can contribute more offensively, to me, that puts the Bulls in title contention because they don't have a legitimate, I'm not going to say big three, but they're going to have a legitimate third person who they can rely on to give them 15 plus points on a consistent basis. If he can get around the 18 points a game margin, raps. It's raps. Next up on the docket, I didn't, like I said, I touched on Zach Levine, but let me say this real quick because I have it written down. Previous years in Zach's career, I think he had a stigma of, is he a good player or is he just a player who puts up good numbers on bad teams? Those Timberwolves teams that he was on weren't good. Those Bulls teams before this past season weren't good, and he put up good numbers, great numbers even. So the fact that he's continuing to do that on a team that's winning games at a clip that most teams aren't is impressive, and I'm happy to see that from him. I thought he wasn't just empty stat guy, but I know a lot of people did, so I'm happy to see that for him and happy to see that he's putting those rumors to rest, really. Very similar to what Devin Booker had to do last season. I won't say had to do, but very similar to what Devin Booker did last season when... All right, we got a call. Who is it? You're on All Hoops. Who am I talking to? Hello? Can you hear me? What's good with you? How you doing? You the first caller in the Hawk Soups. You special. You should. What's your how you feeling? How you feeling about your Bulls? I know you're a Bulls fan. How you feeling about your Bulls? Mm-hmm.
Feel like they are missing one person, one superstar that can take them over the top. This
Yeah.
right now, they're like they're a, I want to say they're a lot for playoffs. Granted, it's early in the season, and I'm a Bulls fan, so I might be a little too hyped, but I feel like they're definitely a playoff team.
Oh yeah, the Bulls are a playoff team. I don't think that's your Bulls fan hype getting to you. You guys are a lock.
Yeah, we are a lock, but at the same time, I feel like we still need to figure out, or Lonzo, like he's the point guard, he's the pace, he's the one that controls the pace and everything. And I feel like he still needs to fit into his role as well as Vooch, who is a scoring big they got to figure out how to get that. And like I said, we have the rest of the season, but at the same time, it's still like, what if that doesn't happen? What if we don't figure that out? And this could be a whole bust. And then at the end of the season, we didn't pay Zach Levine this last off season. What if Zach is like, okay, I'm out of here because this is not working?
Oh yeah, this is a big season for them. Mainly because Zach didn't lock in. You know what I mean? So if it doesn't work, he has the opportunity to go other places. But I got faith in Vucevic. I don't know if he's gonna get back to his magic numbers, mainly because it's just too many other scorers on the team. But I mean, if he can give y'all a consistent 15 to 18, y'all gonna be nice. Y'all got potential.
Yeah, I think we do have potential. But like I said, this reminds me more of like the Toronto Raptors with DeMar DeRozan. You got Kyle Lowry and you got Zach Levine. You have two all-star players, but you don't have that true alpha that can take you over the top.
That is true. That this team has some similarities to the Raptors team. So that is they don't have. I wouldn't say. I think Levine has the ability to maybe be that person. I don't think we're going to see that from DeMar. I think DeMar's showing us who he kind of sort of is, and that's about anywhere from between 20 to 23 a game. I think Levine is young enough that he could have another level that we haven't seen yet. I don't know if he's going to get there this season, but I think he's young enough that he could surprise us potentially.
Yeah, he could surprise us, but I feel like to get to that next level, you have to have like crazy offense. The league we're in, it's a very offensive-centric league. You have to have that crazy offense, or you have to be able to be a two-way player. And Zach isn't really that two-way player because it's like Devin Booker. You know, I'm a huge Book fan. I'm a huge Book fan. Like Book, he got the offense, but he still is lacking that defense. He definitely became a better playmaker, which was great. And I see Zach is looking like he has to become a better playmaker. He's getting there. But at the same time, it's just like, dang, I'm kind of like scared, like, yo, this might be his peak. You feel me? So
it could be.
I'm just trying to be realistic.
I appreciate
that.
Like
I said, from like the bench, you got Caruso. My bad, I'm rambling, but I'm just saying, like, you got.
Nah, I'm listening. I'm here with you.
It's gonna be an interesting year. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be an interesting year. So I'm gonna get my hopes up, but I'm saying second round is definitely the minimum that we got to get. Now we got to get second round.
Second round is definitely the Bulls' goal, or all these trades and these signings might be a bust.
Yeah, so I mean, like, hopefully Zach stays, and then we can get this running again, figure out the missing piece. But I think from start to bench, I think we have a pretty solid team, and I'm excited to see where this goes.
All right, man. Well, appreciate you for calling in. I'm sure we'll talk about your Bulls again in the upcoming episodes.
Yes, sir.
All right, bro.
All right, then. You have a good night.
You too. Peace. Alrighty. So next on the docket, let's talk about these Brooklyn Nets real quick. Shout out to my boy Mario for calling in, the first caller of Hawks Hoops Live. Really appreciate that. Appreciate the support. Appreciate you watching and calling in. For real. All right. Next up, we got the Hawks. I mean, the Brooklyn Nets. And I had this thought earlier. It's a big if, right? Let me just start off with it's a very, very big if. It's a very hot take, and it's not likely to happen. But hear me out. So we all know James Harden is struggling right now, right? Like struggling. He's not passing the ball like he's not getting his assists that he normally gets. He's not scoring like he normally scores. He averaged 10 assists the last 2 seasons. He's currently averaging, it's not that bad, 8 assists. Somewhere I read it was 5 assists earlier today. But he's averaging 8 assists right now. Like, all his numbers are down. 18 points a game, 39% from the field, 40% from 3, which is pretty solid. But you can tell he's been frustrated. The whole foul thing, it just doesn't look right. AD has to do a lot for this Nets team to get wins, right? And if you're the Nets, who are you prioritizing more? KD's happiness or James Harden's happiness? To me, I'm prioritizing KD's happiness over James Harden's. Because we signed KD. He's going to be here for a while. James Harden has a player option at the end of this season if he's going to opt in or opt out. My question is, if we come close to the trade deadline, if 2 months go by, James Harden is still averaging less than 20 points, 18, 19, 17 points a game, still struggling, still look like he's going for fouls. Do you trade James Harden? Do you trade him? Now you might be thinking, yo, Hawk, you bugging. Like, ain't nobody, there's no way you trade James Harden. There's no way, he's too good. We know what he can do. We're talking about former MVP here, James Harden, right? We're talking about someone who can get buckets on anybody normally. But this year, something's off. Now, granted, in a perfect world, I don't see this happening. For real. I really don't. My honest opinion is I don't see this happening. I think he's going to get better. I think he's going to clean up his game. Things are going to start to go his way. But if they don't, do you trade him? Personally, yes. If he doesn't clean it up, if he doesn't get it together, if he doesn't start putting together some good games, personally, I'm trading him. I don't know if everybody is trading him, but personally, I would trade him. Who do you trade him for? Now, this is when I don't know who you trade him for. I'll be honest. I've heard some people say trade him for Ben Simmons. I truly don't see that happening. On paper, I guess it kind of makes sense. The Sixers want more shooting and a ball handler who can distribute and create his own shot, attack the basket for others, and knock the three ball down at a very high clip. That's James Harden. The Nets need a better defense. They need someone who's going to help distribute the ball, who's going to try to create more offense for others. That can be Ben Simmons, but we also haven't seen Ben Simmons since last season at this point, and his trade value is really not that high. So no, I don't think James Harden will get traded for Ben Simmons. But if James Harden continues to play like he's playing, I would not be surprised if the Nets at least entertain the idea of trading him, because you have to keep Kevin Durant happy. You just have to. Not going to harp on the Nets for too long. We're going to move on to the Hawks. Are having a very slow start, right? Now, it's interesting that I'm saying this now because I dropped a video on my TikTok. I'm going to plug this TikTok. Every episode, y'all going to hear me say, I made a video on TikTok. I mean, go over there and follow me. You see the what's the name? The username for the TikTok right beneath me. The other day on TikTok, I made a video, once again, talking about the Warriors and said how I want to see them against good teams. And one of the teams that I said at the time that they had coming up in their schedule were the Hawks. And then they dropped 50 on the Steph drops 50 on the Hawks and they win that game. But the Hawks are really struggling right now. I think they right now currently have a bottom 5 defense. Trae Young's not really playing that well. They just can't really figure it out. And I think the foul situation is the foul baiting. The new free throw rules, the new foul rules are really having an impact on Trae. He's not having the same type of season he had last year. He doesn't look comfortable. I'll say that. Box score wise, he's having the same type of season. He's having a really good season, but he doesn't look comfortable to me when I watch the games. Now, this could have, there could be a couple of different reasons for the Hawks' slow start. My biggest thought process, I'm pulling up their schedule now to see, exactly who they've lost to recently. So they just lost against the beginning of their season. So they beat the Mavs, but then they lost against the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers have been surprising teams, by the way. They are like way better than I think people expected from them. They're playing way better than people expected. They beat the Pistons, they beat the Pelicans, but they lost against the Wizards, they lost against the Sixers, they lost against the Nets, they lost against the Jazz, they lost against the Suns, lost against the Warriors. So they're currently on a 4-game losing streak. But I mean, it's against the Jets. I mean, it's the Nets, the Jazz, the Suns, and the Warriors. 4-game losing streak can be pretty bad, but you gotta, like I said, take in context of who that is against. But what's happening with the Hawks, I think, is what happens. The same thing that happens to a lot of rookies. And it's called a sophomore slump. But I feel like this might be one of the first times I've seen it happen to a whole team having a sophomore slump. Let me explain. Last year, I think the Hawks were not a team that people were worried about going into at the beginning of the last season. Not too many teams were like, we got to pay attention to those Hawks. Circle the Hawks on the calendar they're not a team we can play around with. A lot of teams, I think, went into Atlanta, or if the Hawks were coming to them, and we're like, we could turn it up at halftime. It's the Hawks. Like, we ain't really worried about them that much. But they surprised a lot of people, and they didn't have the ability to turn up at halftime. They got a lot of wins. They surprised some people. They ended up in the Eastern Conference Finals. But now people have been studying the Hawks. You turn into Eastern Conference Finals team. Your name is now circled on people's calendars. Like, this is a game to assess ourselves against. I can't think of the word I'm looking for. Basically, people are now looking at the Hawks like, this is the game where we got to turn up. This is the game that we have to come in ready. Like, you can't just come in and haphazardly playing against the Hawks. So now that people are ready, people have studied the film, people know how they play, they just got to make some tweaks. They got to make some adjustments. They have the talent. Don't get me wrong. They have talent. The Hawks are a very talented young team. I'm excited to see their growth over the next couple of years. And I think they'll get it together. Nate McMillan's a great coach. Such a good coach, in fact, that that's part of the reason they surprised everybody last year. They got rid of their coach. They hired Nate McMillan, and they start winning all these games in the second half of the season. So the Hawks, yes, they're struggling, but I think it's because teams are game planning for them a lot better. They'll get it together, though. Don't panic, Hawks fans. Let's talk about the Los Angeles Lakers. More specifically, let's talk about how Carmelo Anthony is gave his career almost like extra lifeblood. Carmelo Anthony is currently averaging 17 points off 50% from the field, 52% from three, 82% from the free throw line. And mind you, this is all off the bench. He's averaging 52% from three off the bench. And then you could say, oh, Hawk, he's not really shooting. No. This is Melo. We know Melo shoot. He's averaging 7 attempts a game, shooting 52% from three. Once again, off the bench. So Carmelo Anthony is basically the reason why the Lakers have won any of their games. That's how I'm looking at it. The last Lakers game against off the top of my head, I should know this. I don't. Let's look it up. Let's go to Google. Who did they play last? They played... Who did they just play? Why can't I find it? The Timberwolves. I remember watching that game, but I could not remember who played in that game. I'm sorry, not the Timberwolves. They lost against the Timberwolves. Their last game was against the Hornets. And it was a pretty good game. But that was a Melo game. That was a Carmelo Anthony game. He was the main reason they came back because they were down. I actually had turned the game off. And then I see Twitter talking about like, yo, Melo's going off. He's giving the Lakers life in this game. And I cut it back on. They end up winning. And I'm just happy for Carmelo Anthony. Like, that's all I really wanted to say. I'm happy for him. He was literally out of the league for like a season and a half, close to 2 seasons, really. He got waived early in the season and didn't really get picked up, I don't think, the next season. He was basically out of the league for 2 full years. Came back, played very well for the Blazers for 2 seasons, averaged 15 and 13 points those 2 seasons that he was with them. But if he can keep this 17 points a game average going, Melo might be 6th man of the year because the Lakers clean it up, start playing better, start winning some games, end up closer to one of the higher seeds. Having somebody like Melo off your bench almost guarantees him 6th man of the year. It's like him, Tyler Hero, Jordan Clarkson. Those are my 3. And honestly, I don't even know how Hero's doing right now. I haven't watched the Heat game, I don't think, this week, so I got to keep my eye on him. But the Lakers, if they didn't sign Melo, and as early as they are struggling with injuries and Westbrook struggling, not really feeling like he fits in sometimes, this Lakers team could look a lot worse than they do if they didn't have Melo. Melo is really saving this Lakers team, and it's not saying much because they're not like they have a great record. But he's definitely helping them out a lot. Real quick, let me talk about my 76ers. You know, I got to talk about the Sixers. I'm a Sixers fan if you don't already know this. And we're not struggling. Let me get that out the way first. We're struggling in terms of having bodies to put on the court. But the bodies that we do have to put on the court are hooping. We just lost against the Milwaukee Bucks by 8. but we literally only had 7 players. It was Danny Green's first game back, but Tobias didn't play, and Joel didn't play. Obviously, we don't have Ben Simmons. When I saw that game on our schedule and realized all the people that were out, I'm like, oh, I'm not turning on this Bucks game. There's no way. As a Sixers fan, I was like, there's other games I'd rather watch. Like, there's other things I'd rather do. I went and saw Eternals. That's what I did. I saw Eternals last night instead of watching the Sixers game. And they surprised me. I checked the game, the box score after the game, and I was like, wait a minute, we only lost by 8. Maxey had, I want to say, 30, and they're just playing really, really well. The Sixers are playing with a lot of heart. They're playing with a lot of grit. They don't seem to be fazed by the whole Ben Simmons mess that's going on right now, player-wise at least. They're, the players that they got on the court are showing up to work. They're showing up to play. Andre Drummond. Let me make a formal apology to Andre Drummond. When the Philadelphia Sixers signed you, I did not think it was a bright idea. I didn't think it was a good idea at all. I did not see. I really didn't think he was fit. I did not see what was the point of signing Andre Drummond to come off the bench as a backup center. But you're making me eat those words, sir. You are playing phenomenal. I don't think we could have a better backup for Joel Embiid other than Andre Drummond in the league right now. So, Andre, salute to you. Keep playing well. Joel Embiid has COVID. He's probably going to be out for the next 10-ish days. I don't know how many games we're going to win in this 10 games in these next 10 days coming up. We play the Raptors tomorrow, play the Pacers. They play the Jazz. That's probably going to be an L. We play the Nuggets, the Blazers, the Kings. So between now and like November 22nd, which is 12 days from now, we could win against the Raptors. Probably won't, but we could. We should beat the Kings. Low-key, we should beat the Trailblazers. We should beat the Pacers if Tobias is back. I got to look it up and see what Tobias's timeline is looking like for his return. But even if only Joel is out and we have all our other guys, we can win at least 3 out of the 6 next games on our list. Maybe even 4. So I'm not too worried about my Sixers. And then finally on the docket, we've been live for 30 minutes. You know what I mean? I don't be trying to keep y'all long. Y'all know this. Let's talk about these Timberwolves real quick. They don't want to win games, guys. I don't think the Timberwolves know how to play winning basketball. They look lost in fourth quarters. They've blown at least 2-3 leads. The last game they were in, they blew basically a 20-point lead, and then ended up losing by 20. So 40-point swing we're talking about here. The Timberwolves just don't want to. It's not that they don't want to. Maybe they want to. I don't know what they want to do. I'm sure they want to win the games, but it doesn't look like it. They don't have an identity. They don't have a system. They don't have go-to plays they can call upon in the fourth quarter. They cannot close games at all. They don't know what a sidelines out of bounds looks like. The two sideline out of bounds plays that basically ruined the game for them. Well, one saved the game and one ruined the game. The first one that saved the game was the wild Hail Mary 3-pointer that Anthony Towns just chucked at the rim that banked in and sent the game into overtime. But when you watch that play, everyone's like, yo, Towns hit that shot. That was a crazy highlight. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. But if you watch the 5 seconds leading up to his shot, it was an ugly play. The ball is being inbound on if you're looking at the basket, the left side of the court. Towns is like fading away to the right side in the far corner. This terrible lob pass somehow he catches it and he just throws that to the rim and he knocks it down. Great shot by him, but there was no other movement outside of him. And then the play that just makes absolutely no sense to me. The Timberwolves have a chance to win the game, to take the lead. And they're inbounding the ball, and the only person that tries to get open for the ball is D'Angelo Russell. The Memphis Grizzlies have 2 players guarding him, and when you watch the replay of them guarding him and him trying to get open, you literally don't even see any other Timberwolves players moving at all. You don't see them. The Timberwolves players are on the other side of the court just standing still. No play was called, and if it was called, the players didn't either know the play or run the play. They decided to do their own thing. It's just not entertaining basketball to watch. Like, if you want to get frustrated, watch a Timberwolves game because you'll want to pull your hair out at the end of it. The Timberwolves, they have talent. They do. They really do have talent. Karl-Anthony Towns is one of the best skilled big men in the league right now. He is probably the best shooting big man in the league. He's one of the best shooters in the league, period. Let alone big men. Just one of the best shooters, period. He shoots the heck out of that three ball. D'Angelo Russell, we know what he can do. He has some great years with the Nets. I don't be feeling like I'm getting Nets D-Lo out of Timberwolves D-Lo. I'll be honest, I don't be watching a ton of Timberwolves game because of that frustration I have. But I just don't get that same feel. But I'm loving what I'm seeing out of Anthony Edwards. He's turning out to be a stud. But they don't want to play winning basketball. They just don't. That's all I got for you guys today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Once again, shout out to my boy Mario being the first caller on Hawks Hoops Live. We are every Wednesday, 8 p.m. You can call in, drop your hot takes, join the show, become a part of the conversation. And I'll see you guys next week. I'm out. Peace.